I hope I'm clear now. Okay. Now, last class we had a Zoom class, and then I asked you for your feedback as to whether online classes would be convenient, but eventually we realized that it may not be convenient for all of the students. So what we are going to do is that occasionally we are going to have these online sessions where we can interact with you all. But on a weekly basis, we are going to post these video classes, and you are going to go through them and get back to me if there is anything which is not clear to you. Okay? Now, as far as books are concerned, some of you have been asking me which are the books to consult. And yes, you are going to consult the NCERT books which is prescribed by the council. And apart from that, I would suggest you keep any reference book. Maybe Sandeep Garg, Goel. Then there are very good books by Dilip Barua sir. So according to your convenience, you can have any reference book, no fixed book for reference as such. Any book which you find that the language is simple enough for you to follow, any of them can serve as a reference book, right? Now, going back to what we had done in the last classes, do you remember what we had done? Okay, and let me see if I can get my slides ready for today's class. Okay. If you remember, last class we had done consumers equilibrium in the case of one commodity. Okay, we had done about the law of diminishing marginal utility. This time, and what is consumers equilibrium in the case of one commodity? We had assumed, if you remember, that we have a rational person who has income at his disposal, and consumers equilibrium basically means what commodity, not what commodity actually, how many units of the commodity he will buy, that will give him maximum level of satisfaction, and a situation where he is in equilibrium with, with no desire to shift from that equilibrium. In other words, with his given income, he is getting maximum satisfaction by purchase of that those particular cases of commodities. Okay, that's what we have understood in the case of consumers equilibrium in case of one commodity. Now, in real life, we know that we consume more than one commodity. So, what happens when we talk about consumers equilibrium in case of two commodities, or maybe more than two commodities? In this case, we are talking, we will simplify the discussion, and we will just say that suppose it is a case of consumers equilibrium, keeping in mind consumption of two commodities, which simply means that it's a rational consumer. He's got income at his disposal, and he will spend his income amongst the two goods in such a way that utility derived from the last rupee spent on each good is equal, right? Now, this law of equimarginal utility can also be termed as, or is also known as, law of substitution, law of maximum satisfaction, and also Gauss's second law. If you remember, I had said Gauss's first law is the law of diminishing marginal utility, right? Now, what does this law say? This law of equimarginal utility, it says that a consumer gets maximum satisfaction when the ratios of marginal utilities of the two commodities and their respective prices are equal, and marginal utility falls as consumption increases. So we have here two necessary conditions. One is that ratio of marginal utilities of the two commodities and their respective prices are equal, and second condition is that MU falls as consumption increases. Now we are going to simplify this. Okay, we are going to understand in the simplest of language what exactly does it mean. First condition is ratio of marginal utility to price is same in both the goods, which in other words means MUX by PX is equal to MUM and MUY by PY is equal to MUM. Now, তোমালোকৰ মনত আছেনে আমি যেটা কৈছিলো কনজিউমাৰ্ছ ইকুইলিব্ৰিয়াম ইন কেছ অফ ওৱান কমোডিটি আমি কৈছিলো সেইটো সময়ত যে that equilibrium is reached when MUX by PX is equal to MUM. MUX by PX is equal to MUM মানেনো কি? এইটো মানে হ'ল utility derived by spending 1 unit of money on X is same as the marginal utility of money, right? MUX by PX is nothing but the utility derived from consumption of the commodity or satisfaction by spending 1 unit of the money, right? Our MUM means the utility from 1 unit of money. So if both of them are equal, in such case, consumer's equilibrium is attained. So here we are talking about two commodities. So here we are bringing into picture MUX and MUY. That means two goods, X and Y. Consumer is in equilibrium when MUX by PX is equal to MUM and MUY by PY is equal to MUM, and we take a duita jodi equation ami okoman rewrite koru. It simply means MUX by PX is equal to MUY by PY is equal to MUM, and if the prices are same, then MUX is equal to MUY. Okay, now so many equations, it might seem little confusion. For the moment, just look into the equations. We are going to do some sums later, and then it will become all more clear. Actually, it's very easy. We just have to remember that MUX by PX, which means utility obtained by spending 1 unit of money on X, is same or equal to the marginal utility of money, right? Suppose, you might ask, what happens if they are not equal? Let's have certain hypothetical situations. Say MUY by PY is greater than MUX by PX, which means utility obtained from consumption of Y commodity is more than utility obtained by consumption of X commodity. Now it's logical. As a rational consumer, I am going to buy more and more of units of that commodity, which gives me greater satisfaction, right? Isn't it? So in such case, what will happen is that the consumer is going to buy more and more of Y commodity, and as he consumes more and more of Y commodity, his utility from that commodity will decrease, and eventually he will come to that state of balance where marginal utility from Y commodity is equal to marginal utility obtained from X commodity. So if a situation comes where utility obtained from either of the two goods is more than the other good, the consumption of that commodity from where utility derived is more will go on increasing, and eventually, as more of the units of that commodity is consumed, its marginal utility will go on diminishing, and the consumer will eventually stabilize at that point where MUX by PX is equal to MUY by PY is equal to MUM. So there might be situations where not necessary that the ratios are equal, but this leads to what will I say? In such cases, ultimately, but stability condition does come when he goes on consuming more of the commodity from where he derives more utility, in the process, reduction of utility from that commodity until that point where he derives equal utility from both the units consumed. And the second condition is actually implied. This is quite logical and it's quite obvious. Marginal utility falls as consumption increases. Now, if you remember, I said in one of the earlier classes, more of a commodity that we have, the less of it we want. And if you remember, again, let me repeat, I had told you about the glass of water. First glass of water, second glass of water, third glass of water. As the consumption of the glasses of water goes on increasing, the utility from each glass consumed goes on diminishing. So, marginal utility falls as consumption increases. Just visualize some other situation. Say marginal utility is constant as consumption increases. Or maybe marginal utility increases as consumption increases. It doesn't make sense, isn't it? And it will be inconsistent with a rational behavior of a consumer. So the only logical conclusion is utility obtained from the consumption of a commodity successively declines as consumption goes on increasing. Now, like I said, remember just now that just remember those, keep in mind the formulas, and then we are going to do a sum. This law of equimarginal utility, let us understand it better with the help of a very simple example. Now, there are certain things we have to keep in mind, and so I have underlined it. We have got two commodities, X and Y. They have their prices. Good X, one commodity is 2 rupees. Good Y, one commodity is 3 rupees. Consumer's income is given, it is 19 rupees. With this 19 rupees, he is going to spend and buy commodity X and commodity Y. Another thing, MUM is given as 5 utils. Okay, remember in the very first class I had said the money that we keep with us, it has certain amount of utility for us. 1 unit of money in this case, in this example, is assumed to have 5 utils of satisfaction for the consumer. Okay, now keeping these given data in mind, let us look into consumer's equilibrium in the case of 2 commodities. Like I said, it can be extended for 3-4 commodities also, and for process of simplification and for purpose of understanding, we are studying in the case of equilibrium in the case of 2 commodities. Okay, let us see and analyze the information that we have before us. Units of commodity consumed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Marginal utility obtained from X commodity is given in the second column. Marginal utility obtained from the Y commodity is given in the third column. MUX by PX is given in the fourth. MUY by PY is given on the fifth. MUX and MUY are decided by the consumer. He knows, because remember we had said in cardinal measurement of utility, how much satisfaction he gets from each unit consumed, he can assign a figure to it. You can assign a numeric to it. So what he says in our particular case, our consumer says that from consumption of the first unit of X commodity, he gets marginal utility 18. From consumption of the second commodity of the X commodity, marginal utility is 16. Third commodity is 14. Fourth commodity 12. Fifth is 10. Sixth is 8. Which means that as he goes on consuming more and more of the units, his marginal utility from commodity X is going on diminishing. Okay. Then for the Y commodity, From the first unit of consumption, he gets 21 utils. Then from the second unit, 18. Then from third unit, 15. Then 12. Then 9 and 6. MUX by PX, let us see how much it is. MUX is already given. From the first unit is 18. PX kiman hoy, price of X, we have already got the information 2. So 18 divided by 2 is 9. For the second unit of the commodity, MUX by PX is 16 divided by 2, 8. Similarly, for the third unit of commodity, 14 divided by 2 is 7. Then 12 divided by 2 is 6. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 8 divided by 2 rupees is 4. So MUX by PX, column 4, gives us the value. MUY, marginal utility of Y, it's already given to us in the third column. And price of Y has already been given to us earlier on. It is 3 rupees. So MUY by PY, for the first unit of commodity, it is 21 by 3, which is 7. Then 18 by 3, which is 6. 15 by 3 rupees, which is 5. 12 by 3 rupees, which is 4. 9 by 3 rupees, which is 3. And 6 by 3 rupees, which is 2. And remember, MUM is given to us, it is 5 utils. So if you look into into column 4 and 5, you will find we have to remember, for law of equimarginal utility, or in the case of consumers equilibrium, in the case of two commodities, equation is MUX by PX is equal to MUY by PY is equal to MUM. MUM is given to us by 5 utils, right? So if you look into the fourth column, MUX by PX, 5 util is obtained when he is consuming fifth unit, the fifth unit, see, 5 units, and the utility is MUX by PX is 5. Similarly, MUY by PY, the utility utils is 5 when he is consuming 3 units. So that means in this case, consumers equilibrium in the case of two commodities, when prices are given of X and Y commodity to be rupees 2 and rupees 3 respectively, and marginal utility of money is given as 5 utils, and if the consumer has 19 rupees to spend on the two goods, he will be buying 5 units of commodity X and 3 units of commodity Y. Now, just do one thing. 5 units of commodity X, price is 2. So 5 into 2 would be 10 rupees. He spends 10 rupees on commodity X. For Y commodity, the number of units he is going to buy is 3. Buy and consume, that is 3. 3 into 3 is 9 rupees. So we have seen that when he buys 5 units of commodity X and 3 units of commodity Y, he is spending his entire 19 rupees, that is 10 rupees on commodity X and 9 rupees on commodity Y. So we get equilibrium. MUX by PX is equal to MUY by PY is equal to MUM when he is buying 5 units of commodity X and 3 units of commodity Y, right? So that is a case of consumers equilibrium. Now this is just one example. Now that you know how it can be worked out, do some of these sums yourself, and I will be, as it is, I'm going to give you as classwork in WhatsApp group. See whether you can do them. However, we have to remember that there are certain limitations associated with the cardinal utility measurement of cardinal concept, measurement of utility. That is, firstly, it is not realistic in the sense that I know I'm getting satisfaction from consumption of different commodities or units of commodities, but precisely giving a numerical value against each unit, how far it is realistic is subject to debate. For example, I can say that I'm getting a lot of satisfaction by drinking a glass of water, especially when I'm very thirsty, but specifically I cannot say that I'm getting 30 utils and not 31 utils, isn't it? And from the second glass of water, yes, I'm getting satisfaction, definitely, but the satisfaction is lesser than the first glass of water. But how can I specifically say, excuse me, that I'm getting 20 utils of satisfaction from the second glass of water? Why not 19 utils? Why not 18 utils, isn't it? So that is a limitation, that cardinal measurement of utility is not realistic. And secondly, there is another assumption we have made, that assumption of rationality. We have assumed that the consumer is rational, he wants to maximize his satisfaction from spending the income that he has at his disposal. Now, not necessarily always he makes rational decisions. There might be strong preferences, habits, and then so in the process he might spend his money in a way which does not exactly comply by what is expected of a rational consumer in the market. So, like subjective variation of behavior is there amongst consumers. So, assumption of rationality always is not a universal, universal generalization of the behavior of consumer. Got it? So that is it about cardinal utility approach. Next approach that we have is ordinal utility approach, which we also call as indifference curve or Hicksian analysis. Now, ordinal utility approach expresses utility in terms of ranks. Actually, it is more realistic. So, I can say that of the various commodities I have consumed, I have got more satisfaction from certain units of consumption of the commodity and less satisfaction from other units of consumption of the commodity. So I can maybe give ranks that this is a combination of commodities I have consumed which gives me maximum satisfaction. This is a combination of commodities which has given me less satisfaction. So that is what the ordinal utility does. It tries to give ranks or numbering to the various combination of commodities that the consumer consumes. Okay, so let us just look into the differences between cardinal and ordinal theory of utility. By now you're quite familiar with the cardinal theory and ordinal theory. Let us see what it actually means. Now, cardinal theory, we already know that it says that utility can be measured in terms of utils, 10 util, 12 util, and so on. Ordinal theory says that utility can be measured by some ordinal numbers. In other words, we give them ranks. Say, this is the combination of goods that gives me most satisfaction. So I give a rank 1 to that. Maybe then I can say that this combination of commodities that I have consumed gives me less satisfaction. So I can give rank 2 to that. So it is ranked, whereas in the case of cardinal theory, it is measured in terms of utils. Cardinal theory was brought forward by Alfred Marshall, and ordinal theory is given to us by Hicks, Pareto, and Allen. So in the case of cardinal theory, we know we had utils as the unit of measurement, and there is no unit of measurement as such in the case of ordinal theory. In the case of cardinal theory, the distance between two cardinal numbers are important. Like basically it's an index of consumer satisfaction. So from the first combination of goods, or from the first commodity consumed, how much satisfaction I have got measured in terms of utils. From second unit, from third unit, how much satisfaction have I got. So those measurements done of satisfaction in terms of utils gives us an index of the level of satisfaction of the consumers. Whereas in the case of ordinal theory, ranking or ordering of preference is given weightage. And obviously we know by now, cardinal theory, the concept of utility, marginal utility is important, whereas in ordinal theory, the instrument used, or the main measuring index is the indifference, what we call indifference curve. Indifference curve no hoy ki. Remember in real life also we say we are indifferent. Indifferent mane we couldn't be bothered. Kiba ta hole hol aru, I just couldn't be bothered. I mean heneke kau nohoy sano. The same concept in the case of indifference curve. Indifference curve mane hol, it is a graphical representation of various alternative combinations of bundles of two goods among which the consumer is indifferent. So consumer is faced with situations where he has various combination of two goods, and consumer couldn't be bothered with which bundle is given to him, because his satisfaction from each combination is the same, right? So that is what is known as a indifference curve. To be more clear, let us see how an indifference curve is derived. Now this is a indifference schedule. Before we derive a indifference curve, we know we need to have a schedule, right? So yate we have certain, yate amar ketaman hypothetical combinations ase, combinations of PQRST. Okay, that means combination of two goods, apples and bananas. The P has a combination of 1 apple and 15 bananas. Q has a combination of 2 apples and 10 bananas. R, 3 apples and 6 bananas. S, 4 apples and 3 bananas. And T, 5 apples and 1 banana. So what do we have before us? We have PQRST. These are sets of different combinations of two commodities in front of the consumer. Now, a consumer could not be bothered whether he has combination P or combination Q, or combination R or S or T, because all of these combinations give him same level of satisfaction. So what happens in the case of indifference curve is that when we join the points graphically of different combination of two commodities which gives the same level of satisfaction to the consumer, it is known as indifference curve. And that is exactly what is done in this curve which is there before you. Go through this. In one axis you have bananas, on the x-axis you have apples, isn't it? So this is some important axioms of preference in an indifference curve analysis. I think I have run out of my time. This I will discuss with you in the next class. So thank you, and most importantly, revise, communicate in WhatsApp group for queries, right?